Hi, I'm Lisa Anderson, president of ASCM-Inland Empire, as well as what's formerly known as APEX Inland Empire chapter. And I'm also president of LMA Consulting Group. And I'm thrilled to be here today to talk about a very important topic that comes up in every client discussion, and that is related to talent. So I'm very excited to have David here to talk to us today about talent. David is a supply chain executive and recruiter, and he will talk about talent in the supply chain. There's estimated to be over 2 million jobs that could go unfilled in supply chain in the next several years, yet jobs are evolving at a rapid pace. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic because it's definitely going to be the wave of the future. And David has over 30 years of leadership experience in logistics and the supply chain industry. He's known as a partner and founder of Orion Solutions Group, which is an executive placement and consulting firm, heading up their national logistics practice. Previously, David served as president of Hub Group Los Angeles and Hub Group San Francisco, held numerous sales leadership roles on a regional and national basis, and served as EVP of Supply Chain Solutions, which is a 3PL and truck brokerage firm, among other roles for the Hub Group. And most recently, Dave served as CEO for Rail Delivery Services, an award-winning drayage, trucking, dedicated and consolidated 3PL in Fontana. Dave is also an adjunct professor and currently serves on the California State University Fullerton School of Operations and Supply Chain Management Advisory Board, and is a member of numerous industry associations. So David is well qualified on this topic. So David, we really look forward to hearing from you on this important topic of talent in the supply chain.
Thanks, Lisa. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on here. And Lisa and I have been on panels in the past together, and it's always a lot of fun. And I always learn a lot from all of her events that she puts on. Thanks everybody for coming. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Is everybody looking at some robots?
Yep, we can see them.
Okay, very good. All right, very good. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic, talent and careers in supply chain. So I have a lot of slides. I'll go through them rather quickly, but there's going to be a focus on the Los Angeles marketplace. We'll talk about tips for getting a job, interviewing, where to find opportunities for both recent grads or people that are early in their careers, and then also established professionals as well. Okay, and there are some things that are unique to each one of those situations, and then there's some commonalities that apply to anybody that's looking for a position. Okay. So what I like to emphasize to people is that for those of you, is everybody in Los Angeles? I don't know, Lisa, if you recognize the names that
most everybody is in Los Angeles, and I'm sure that I would say 80-20, for people that are watching it on the archive. So largely.
Okay. All right.
LA
well,
area.
We'll focus on LA. So much of this is going to apply to anybody, though. So everybody will get a lot of value out of this. So I think those of us that are in the, I know this is the Inland Empire division of Association of Supply Chain Management. I do work with universities, as Lisa said, and I just like to emphasize to students, and then really anybody looking for a position in Southern California, I want to make sure that they realize the immense, huge opportunity that they have in supply chain in Southern California. And I really, really believe it's the best place in the world to be in this business. We're the US is the largest importer of goods anywhere in the world, the biggest consumer. California has the largest economy in the United States. Our port complex is really what drives a lot of this. Number 1 in the US, number 9 in the world when you combine LA and Long Beach. And along with those ports, there's a huge infrastructure. All those areas are listed between two major railroads here with multiple facilities, airports, warehouses. We have over 1 billion square feet of warehousing. So international freight forwarding, and I can go on and on. We'll talk about some of that. But for anybody here that may be a recent grad or someone that's still at university, to not realize the humongous opportunity for employment and to make really good money in Southern California related to logistics, man, that's part of my job. I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. So did the screen just shift to the economic impacts, Lisa? Okay, good. So here's some quick stats. This is something that's supplied by the Port of Los Angeles. So the combined port complex, 76% of all imports come in through the port, through the West Coast, right? 31% of the whole market share in the United States. And this is the huge impact I want people to realize. 1 in 12 jobs in LA and Long Beach are related to the port. Actually, almost 2% of all jobs in the United States are directly related to the ports. Okay.
Wow, that's
So,
huge.
yeah. So there's just the impact is just immense. So I already recited a couple of these statistics here. In addition to what I already said, we have more trucking companies than any state in the country. We're the top employer of international freight forwarders. I know a lot of people very interested in international freight. A major air freight hub. Inland Empire is well aware of the Ontario Airport, major air freight hub. When you drive by there, you almost see more Amazon and UPS planes than anything else, right? So a lot of freight in and out of there. And again, both Western railroads have multiple facilities here. So this is from the US government. This is the latest from 2024 in terms of, okay, what can you expect to earn in logistics? It's a wide spectrum. I know people that are at the entry level, barely, working in a warehouse and that type of thing, making maybe $20, $25 an hour. And I know people making over $1 million a year in supply chain and logistics. There's just tremendous financial opportunity here. But here's the median pay. This takes into account truck drivers, warehouse workers, executives, everybody. Okay, so that's kind of the average. Bachelor's degree, and you'll see a slide later that you're seeing more and more master's degrees people, getting into the business. But what's really important in logistics and supply chain is truly the experience. I'll get to that a little bit later as well. So here's some other stats, number of jobs that are out there. And job outlook, 2023, 2033, the next 10 years, much faster growth than average. All right. So it's a good place to go. I won't tick through every single one of these, but within supply chain, logistics, whatever you prefer for your term, you've got the obvious kind of freight management, freight movement types of jobs, inventory related production jobs. But all the companies that provide those services, and I've traditionally been a provider of services, all of those companies, not just freight people, but we have accounting people, we have legal people, we have sales people, we have marketing people. All those core functions exist at freight provider companies in addition to the basic freight handler types of jobs. Okay. So within Southern California or just the US generally, you've got all those different opportunities to work within a carrier. You can work for what we call shippers. It could be an import, export, or warehousing company. And then you can see the different types of careers. What I will say, and I'll be emphasizing later, and the reason that I kicked off this presentation with a couple of humanoid robots is tech is becoming increasingly important. If you haven't, you should either take a tour of an Amazon warehouse or just go online and take a virtual one. There's a lot of great stuff on YouTube, and you can see some of their most automated facilities and look at all the robotics that they have. And those robots in a few years are going to look like caveman kind of stuff. But Amazon has over 500,000 robots in their warehouses. So I don't know about you, but when I graduated from college, right now I have, believe it or not, 6 monitors. I would have never imagined that I would have a job surrounded by all these monitors and computers, and I'd actually be able to operate all this stuff, doing a Zoom conference with people potentially all around the country. Um, the technology is changing very, very rapidly. And one of the things I'm going to emphasize today is you need to stay with these trends, stay on top of it, and continuing to educate yourself through organizations such as Lisa's and other ones. So as I mentioned earlier, 50% of companies have seen an increase in people coming to looking for a job with master's degrees. I will emphasize again, experience counts. I literally, I was running a truck brokerage at one point in Southern California, an intermediary for procuring trucking capacity. And I had a master's degree holder from USC apply for a dispatcher's job. Now, believe it or not, you'd think, oh boy, he probably got the job. No, I didn't hire that person. There's some non-education kind of tangible, maybe personality attributes that you're looking for some of these positions and experience level. And so, in my case, I often am looking for people that have quote unquote the right stuff, and we'll get to that later, to be successful in the world of logistics. Education, I'm not downplaying it. Everything being equal, I want the educated person. But experience and industry education is extremely important. So this I thought was interesting, and this is something that we kind of all intuitively know, or maybe you've seen this before. But as you can see, the more educated you are, the more money that you're going to make, typically, out there, other than the doctorate degree. Because if you're doing that, you may just be in academia, and you could have probably a master's degree and be in business and make more money than a professor potentially. But generally, you can see kind of a linear relationship between the amount of education that you have and the amount of money that you make. And then also the unemployment rate. If you look at a professional degree, 1.2%, at any given time, somebody's switching jobs just because they are or whatever. I mean, it's virtually zero in logistics. So if you have a degree and you've got your act reasonably well together, you should be able to get a job.
Interesting.
So technology, this area is changing so fast. And I can tell you that, logistics, supply chain, tradition, 20 years ago, it really wasn't changing very rapidly. I would say in the late 80s, early 90s was the introduction of like an AS400. Some of you may even still have these green screen systems. They still are in use at some companies. They're certainly fast and reliable. But not everybody had a computer on their desk back then. And now, man, if you're not on top of AI, you're really falling behind. We'll get to that in just a second. Supply chain is on the cutting edge now of technology. It used to be like finance was using a lot of technology so they could automate trades, they could have advantage over other people in selecting stocks and stuff like that. Mathematical applications, pharmaceutical obviously had great technology. Supply chain was kind of left behind for a while. But again, we're really, really on the cutting edge now.
That's interesting, actually.
Wouldn't you agree, Lisa? I mean,
Yep, I do
yeah.
agree. I do agree because, like, there's a lot of conversations about supply chain. at the, government level and certainly in businesses.
Absolutely, absolutely. And some of it's quite controversial. Okay.
Oh,
And
for sure.
and
That it is.
if you look at automation of the ports, of trucking, um, trucking is the number one employer of men in I think it's 29 of the 50 states. The number one employer. So what is
Wow.
automated trucks? How does that impact those people? A lot of people that you'll hear say, oh, don't worry, we've been through this before, we've gone through the Industrial Revolution and everybody used to be on farms and they just got jobs in factories. Well, yeah, but can somebody that's been nothing against, I love truck drivers and respect them, but can a truck driver be can they all learn to be, you know, autonomous humanoid robot coders and programmers and stuff like this, right? Yeah, there'll be new jobs, but the question is, will there be enough of them? And we recently went through our negotiations here on the West Coast at the port, and they did on the East Coast with the ILA as well. And one of the key issues, particularly with the ILA labor issue on the East Coast last year, was the automation of ports. If you look around the world, our ports are not the most productive. During COVID, our port was more impacted than others because we had a lot of humans working that could get sick. Machines don't get sick. So you can understand why port operators would want to automate, but you can also understand why the union doesn't want automation because those jobs just go away, right? So a lot of controversy around some of this stuff. So what are the career opportunities with technology? One of the most interesting things that I like, I've been involved with managed transportation. So think about multimodal optimization of supply chains and that. So that requires technology, right? Optimization of work, routes, warehouses, warehouse management systems, WMS on my slide there, TMS, transportation management systems, sought after skills. Everybody has access. Everybody practically uses Excel. There's all kinds of tutorials on Google and elsewhere for free to get advanced skills on Excel. At the end of the day, we have all this great technology. We've got SQL databases, people extracting this and putting it into ERP systems, but it tends to end up on an Excel spreadsheet at the end of the day or something like that. And a lot of companies don't have a huge budget for SAP or a big ERP system. If you're able to manipulate and manage data really well, just on Excel spreadsheet, I'm not saying that's the ultimate, but that's something that everybody could learn that will be very helpful in a job that you have to keep yourself organized.
It's definitely something that every client that I work with, because I work with small and very large manufacturers, and every single one of them appreciates that skill
Absolutely.
set.
Yes, absolutely. AI. If you're not using AI now and you're not familiar with AI, man, you're very quickly falling behind. You should be using any of the number of the ones that are out there. Last week, or no, was it Saturday night? I think Grok 4 came out. Chat GPT 5 is about to be released. Gemini 3's right around the corner. Grok 4 has achieved postdoctorate level of intelligence in every discipline. Okay, every discipline. It can get perfect score on the SAT. It can solve math problems that none of us would even understand. So that's a tool for us to use. Okay, and if you can't use that, all the people coming out of school will be able to use it, and other people are self-training. And I will emphasize to everybody that career management is about becoming a lifelong student. In my case, I graduated from college long ago. I didn't even use computers when I got my degree. I got my master's degree 10 years after that, and it was all about spreadsheets and optimization and things like that. Just in 10 years, it changed. And now we're going quantum leaps further. And the only way I was able to keep up as a grad student is I taught myself how to use all these tools. AI is not hard. It's going to get easier and easier. At one point, in the near future, it's going to be just like this webinar where you can talk to it and tell it to do things. But in the meantime, this concept of prompt engineering is critical, knowing how to ask for what you need from the AI. And you can make yourself so much more productive. So get on top of AI and make sure that you're using it and teaching your teams how to use it and become more effective. Okay. So look at the growth that's anticipated for global AI in logistics. So here we are in 2025. What's that? 26 billion. And that's supposed to increase by a factor of 20 in the next 8 years, by a factor of 20. So that means this is super important. 5 years ago, you really weren't hearing about this. I mean, everyone kind of heard of AI. Oh, what is it? Well, we're at I heard Elon Musk describe it the other day as the Big Bang. We're at the beginning, the commencement of the Big Bang of technology, leading with AI. So again, just emphasize to you how big this is going to be. It's not something that you can afford to ignore.
It's huge, right? I mean, it's absolutely huge, and it'll also affect, it'll affect every profession, but I think supply chain and manufacturing, since I know this group is interested in both, it's going to impact even, more from a volume standpoint, just because, it'll drive additional growth, I think, in those industries.
Agreed. And we see it everywhere. Even so, I'm a partner in a couple of transportation companies still. I'm not active day to day, but within my current world of recruiting, we're AI based now. So I'm going to tell you how to kind of game that system a little bit as you're searching for a job. But yeah, we're using AI to find candidates for positions right now, and everybody else is as well. Okay. So
Wow, interesting. Well, before you go on to that, there is one question that I think might be appropriate to what you just said. So Tony's asking, why is hiring so poor among recent graduates, and are employers holding off hiring because of the tariff uncertainty or AI, or what's going on, basically, is what he's asking.
Yeah. So that has slowed things down. There's no doubt
Which
about it.
one? The tariffs or AI or both?
I don't think it's AI. Well, it is partially AI. Let me address each one. AI, let's see. FedEx just announced, I think they're closing something like 15 of their centers, laying off hundreds of people. UPS has laid off hundreds of people. People are really driving a lot of efficiency with AI, so that's really drying up a lot of the entry-level kind of positions for people.
Yeah.
So that is a factor. The tariffs certainly are impacting things. In Q2, imports from Asia were down 15%, right? And so that, there's a trickling effect through that. So that has affected some people's hiring plans. It depends also on, what you're looking to do. I don't think you could make the broad-based statement that people aren't hiring. Tony, you want to jump on or let me know, like, what kind of position are we talking about?
Well, Tony is one of our board members, and feel free to jump on, Tony, if you're. I told them to jump on and put their camera on, so it might be his reluctance.
Yeah,
but nevertheless,
there he is.
Oh, go ahead,
I'm
Tony.
here. Yeah, I'm here, and we work with a couple of the colleges, Cal Poly Pomona and Cal State San Bernardino, student chapters.
Yep.
With scholarships, etc. So Lisa and I have talked to a lot of the students there, and it seems like it's surprising the amount of difficulty they have in landing their first professional position.
Mm-hmm.
Not a warehouse worker, but maybe data analyst.
Yeah.
And it seems like those positions are not very plentiful. And maybe that's because of AI, or employers are holding off committing to new hires and interns because they don't know what AI is going to drive in terms of requirements for that kind of position. Also, I guess as there's a link maybe between supply chain and manufacturing, and that the supply chain enables manufacturing in Southern California. And so those positions where we import semi-finished goods and do the final assembly in Southern California, particularly in aerospace, where that could drive more manufacturing, but I think that's more medium term or long term. So
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. So we talk about how quickly things change. 5 years ago, great advice to a college grad is be a coder. You can't go wrong. The demand was off the hook. Now, so I think there's still, that work is still there when you're talking about the data analyst. The existing data analysts can do so much more than they were able to do before. Same with the coders. Two of my kids are coders, and they're not really hiring a lot more, but what they're able to do, and they're all using AI tools, is they're just so much more productive. That's some of what you're hearing about the big controversy with Amazon. Is if you look at the production rate of Amazon warehouse workers over the last 10 years, I think it's doubled or tripled, right? And it's because of the automation that has become available and the enhanced systems that they've been able to develop. And the people there are complaining, oh, I'm having to work too hard now. And they're trying to unionize in certain locations and all this kind of stuff, and they're making these types of accusations. So I think that for entry level, it's going to be hard. The jobs are out there, but what I tell people that are searching for a job is looking for a job is a job. You got to take it seriously. It's an 8 to 5 type of thing. You get up in the morning, you get online, and that's what you do all day. And I'll go through, and please share this deck with them. I think there's a lot of good tips in there that will help these recent grads to get a position. And I've worked with a lot of recent grads. I'm very active with Cal State Fullerton. There's positions out there, but you're going to have to hunt a bit harder. And there's no question that we've been in a freight recession now for 3 years. I've been doing this for 30 something years. Never had a 3-year freight recession. You get one every 5-6 years for 6 to 18 months, but never 3 years. So it's going to break at some point. That's going to provide a lot of opportunity, but probably not as much opportunity as previous breaks and droughts have experienced, because as people release people or don't hire people, and I think this has been a trend for some time, they're essentially being replaced with technology. And I don't know that all those jobs are coming back. So, freight volumes aren't bad right now. It's just there's just so much capacity out there. So providers aren't making as much money, rates are down, and that doesn't allow them to hire as many people on the provider side. Then you've got the manufacturing and production, the production side, and that's a little bit of a different story. But so, Tony, what I would suggest
it's been in a recession for a year as well.
What else has been?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying the manufacturing has been in a recession for over a year as well. Statistically. Although, what I would say, I mean, thank you, David. I completely agree. I think, well, not that it was ever easy, but like you said, it's no longer going to be easy in this realm. So I think we have to stand out from the crowd. I mean, there's going to be vast opportunities for supply chain manufacturing type professionals. However, it is harder a bit to get started, and which is unfortunately a conundrum here. So I think you have to stand out from the crowd. You really should be pursuing these professional certifications and, doing what you need to do, like David said, to stand out from the crowd. So I guess that'll take us into your next section here.
Yeah, you're teeing me up, man. We're a good team. That's wonderful. So what I tell grads, most college students work at least a little bit, and they might be bartenders or waiters or working at the beach or doing any of a number of things. If you think you want to go into supply chain, I encourage them to take those quote unquote grunt jobs. Work in a warehouse, drive a yard truck, do the basic office analytical, or if you're at a carrier, tracing work to the extent they still have people do that. And they do, some of the smaller companies. A lot of that's been offshore. But just get those types of positions. Minimally, even seasonally during a freight recession, Amazon, everybody's hiring or looking for that. Those types of experiences will differentiate you from the typical college grad. Like, you understand how a warehouse works, you've been in a warehouse. And in fact, as you work your way through your career, even at the executive level, if you understand like the basic idea between how you organize, again, I'll use a warehouse or a production area, that's knowledge that will benefit you for the rest of your career. So it's maybe not glamorous, but it will give you an edge up on other people that are interviewing, and it's something that will benefit you long term. So I really encourage people to just get into the business any way you can, doing the most basic work. So let me start with this resume. You would be surprised. So I get resumes, we get resumes all day, every day. I've had resumes where the person spells their name wrong. I've had resumes with the wrong phone number on it or no phone number on it. I get them all the time with horrible grammatic errors. And so your resume is the representation of you, that all they have to go on in many cases. And so you need, and when I say perfect, I mean literally perfect. And you could be a person where you could be highly intelligent, but maybe English is not your first language, but somebody who it is, or maybe you're just not good with grammar. And even if you're great, a second set of eyes is always good, right? So have that reviewed and looked at by a couple of people before you put that out there, okay? No pictures, that's not customary. Maybe it would be in the entertainment industry, not in logistics. I see some international resumes, and that's more customary in other countries. But for US jobs, don't put your picture on there. If you don't have a resume, put in resume images, and Google will show you all kinds of resumes and what a good resume looks like. Okay. 1 or 2 pages max, particularly Tony, you talked about recent grads. There's no grads, and I've seen recent grads with 3-page resumes. You haven't done enough that's that important or interesting to have a 3-page resume. Maybe a page and a half, right? So 1 or 2 pages max. If you are a recent grad, what can you put on there? What if you've never had a job? Leadership within any organization. I encourage all the students to join their local university supply chain organization or club if they had something like that. ASCM, CSCMP, and other ones have opportunities for students to participate. This is all resume worthy type of stuff. Any type of leadership, if you were an Eagle Scout, that's appropriate. I get like 40-year-old guys that still have Eagle Scout on there. Any type of leadership stuff that you've done as a teen or within college, you're a captain of a team, show them that you're a leader, right? A lot of companies like people that have sports backgrounds because they feel, oh, they can work with a team, they're competitive, they like to win, stuff like that. A professional email address. I get weird stuff, the weirdest stuff. People think it's funny, like hotlegs420@gmail.com, or, weird stuff like that. That is not a professional email address. So make sure you have a professional email address, and obviously your contact information needs to be correct. And within the resume, the way that AI and recruiters quickly sort through resumes, because if you post a job, I can tell you, we post jobs on Indeed and Zip and all these other places and our own website. We'll get hundreds of responses sometimes. Most of these people are not qualified because it's so easy just to apply to stuff. These guys that make pizzas or dig ditches or whatever, they're applying for a supply chain analyst that requires a college degree, and they're nowhere near that. They just boom, 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 boom. So how do you sort through all this stuff real quickly? You search for keywords. So like advanced Excel, SAP, right? WMS, TMS, managed transportation, inventory control, all these different types of things that are relevant. Put those in your resume so that they're caught by these search engines that recruiters and hiring managers are using, so that your resume stands out. And the other thing I'll say about resumes, especially if you're a recent grad, or maybe you've had different positions throughout your career, you got to have resumes tailored to the opportunity that you're applying for. Especially if it's a great job and a great opportunity, it's worth really kind of monkeying with your resume to suit the job description that you're applying for, right? It's very easy to do. Now, don't make stuff up. It has to be true, but you can't put every single thing that you've ever done on a resume. So just make sure that the version that you're submitting has the stuff that's relevant for the position you're applying for, and make sure that stuff's on there. Take that little time to do that, and that's going to increase your chances of being selected for an interview.
So when you say professional email, do you mean sign up for Outlook, or?
No,
If you don't have a
I'm
job
just
yet,
saying a
what is a professional
professional
email?
Outlook. Like I get a lot of people will embed their hobbies into their email address. So you're going to have a personal email on there. So like some variation of your name and a number or whatever at Gmail or whatever. That's all
Okay.
good. I'm just saying, don't have something that's clearly supposed to be funny or goofy, or refer to
Oh,
something
got
that
it.
maybe
Okay.
is unsavory within, some weird hobby you have. Don't put that in your email address. Have a version that's professional.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Keywords. If you know anybody that's in the industry, have them look at your resume or get a copy of theirs and imitate that. Don't, especially as a recent grad, don't drone on and on about some job that you had at a camp or whatever. It just be to the point, because your camp experience isn't probably super relevant to, being an inventory manager or something like that. So yeah, you work through college. That's important. That's good. A couple of the key things that you did there, move on. You don't have to elaborate on 15 things that you did at the camp. All right. Important achievements, unique resumes for each type of job opportunity. I get this. This applies to everybody. I've literally had people, so you can have your resume and it kind of starts out with like an objective or summary statement of what it is that you want to do or what you do. And people refer to themselves as a visionary, dynamic, some kind of a thing. Who calls himself that? That automatically stands out as a lot of nonsense talk. Stick to the facts. That's what a resume for. It's a factual type of thing. Nobody wants to hear about how you're a visionary or a dynamic person. You're calling yourself that. It's just odd. So LinkedIn, I see this error in more senior professionals and then also recent grads. You've got to have a LinkedIn. Most of us do, but some people aren't active on it. Some people don't take the opportunity to join industry groups on LinkedIn so that you're seeing on what's going on in the industry and participating in maybe some of that, meeting people and improving your network. You got to have a great picture. If you're a new grad, I think you're going to have a nice shirt on, a tie, and like a professional type of picture. If you're a senior professional, don't have a picture of yourself fishing or golfing. I see that all the time. This is like, oh, that's what this guy is interested in. I want to see a professional picture. If you think of yourself, put yourself in the hiring manager's place. It's like, oh man, I'm hiring a salesperson. This guy's a golfer. He's probably gonna be golfing all the time. I mean, those thoughts occur to people, fair or not. So don't handicap yourself. Just put a professional picture there. All right. Your outline for LinkedIn, resume quality. I see some people don't pay a lot of attention to their LinkedIn profile. Doesn't have to be super lengthy, but it should have all those keywords in it again, because people search LinkedIn for candidates. Many people, that's mainly where they go to find people. All right. So pay a lot of attention to the quality of your LinkedIn presence. And there's an option in there that you are open to opportunities. Make sure you click that, because as a recruiter, so I have an enhanced version of LinkedIn, right? Where I'm looking for people. And I will search for people first that are looking for opportunities. So I'm not wasting my time calling people that don't want to make a switch, right? So make sure that you're highlighted there, all right? Social media. I thought it was interesting. I just typed in bad Instagram picture of somebody, and that's what came up. This guy smoking a cucumber, all right? Don't do that if you're looking for a job. This guy probably has a job somewhere, or at some point will be looking for a job. It's not fair. You could argue maybe people shouldn't be doing that, but people are going to look at your TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And if you got weird stuff up there, whether it's crazy party scenes, political stuff, either direction, you might be right, you might be wrong. Don't handicap yourself. Whoever's getting the resume or considering you for an interview might have a different view. So don't put that stuff out there if you're looking for a job and you're a serious person. Serious people don't put stuff like that online, okay? Obviously, no profanity online, right? This, unfortunately, is the world that we live in. There's nowhere to hide. Don't put yourself out there as a foul-mouthed party person or something like that, okay? And I've been in conversations like this with hiring managers and other recruiters. We're considering somebody. Oh man, did you see their Facebook? Oh crap, you know, and that's it. They're done. So don't do that. So when you're interviewing, if you actually secure an interview, do your research on the company, particularly for a publicly traded company. And I'm not talking, spend a half hour on it or something like that. And the person that's interviewing you, maybe they went to the same college as you, or maybe you've got some commonality there that you can reference as you're discussing things with them. What I like to do is, like when I'm in a sales situation and I'm talking to your company, I like to challenge myself to know more about the company than the person I'm talking to. Oh yeah, you just opened a new factory in Luxembourg. How's that going? You just launched this new product. Hey, the stock's doing really great. Congratulations. Take yourself to that level. I've interviewed people for my own companies before. I've said, you know what we do here? Well, not really. They didn't even take 10 minutes in the parking lot or 2 minutes in the parking lot to look on their phone and find out something about us. That does not look good. So do your research on the companies and the people interviewing you. Have a professional background. If you don't have one, have a fake background behind you. I had a guy that was interviewing. I got on a little bit early with him before the hiring manager got on. He had a big shelf behind him that was full of all of his favorite whiskeys. Hey, that's cool. You can drink whiskey. I don't care. But that's not professional, you know? Someone is not going to draw. Maybe you'll get lucky and you're president of the local Jack Daniels fan club is interviewing you. That's probably not going to happen, right? So make sure it's professional. Dress for the occasion, even though it's a Teams or a Zoom. Go online, look at how the executives at that company dress, and dress like that. Might be a tie, okay? Might be a jacket. Get on early for your call. Lisa and I got on early. I hadn't been on Zoom for a little while. I'm like, okay, how do I share my screen? All this kind of stuff. Work that stuff out before you get on your Zoom or Teams interview. Don't be fumbling around last minute and they're waiting for you to figure out how to use the technology. You're looking unorganized and you don't know how to use technology when you do that. All right, so get on a few minutes early. Have questions prepared, whether it's a live or team Zoom meeting, have them written down. It's totally appropriate to walk into a live interview, just say, sir, ma'am, I do have some notes here that I took. I want to make sure that I ask these questions. Can I ask him now? And people are like, wow, that person prepared. That's really good. So absolutely do that, because if you're not, somebody else is. All right. So don't be disadvantaged. Don't start out, particularly the first couple interviews, asking about, the vacation, how much you're going to pay me, what's your policy around work-life balance? You know what that means? Oh, I want a person that's obsessed with making my company successful, not making their personal life successful. It's not fair. People should have work-life balance, but don't disadvantage yourself, because they are going to be interviewing people that are hungry, that really are going to work hard to succeed at that company and make that company successful. So don't go there early on just asking about, what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? It's more about, you're going to be lucky to have, don't say this obviously, but you want them to feel they're going to be lucky to have you on board, because you're going to work so hard and contribute so much. And if you've had other positions and they didn't work out well, take the high road. You never, ever talk bad about a previous employer or a current employer, because all the hiring manager is going to think is, wow, he's bashing them now. It's probably going to bash me next time. You don't want to go negative. Just, you're looking for a better opportunity. You're looking to improve your career. You're looking to, master this new skill. You're moving, whatever it is. Don't trash your employer. Where to find your job. Your network is critical. You've got to develop your network. Recent grads will say, how do I have a network? I've never worked before. You do have a network. You've got your professors. You've got people that you've been in classes with. Maybe they've already gotten a job. Okay, maybe they can help you get a job over there. Your neighbors, your family. I've heard people say, oh, I don't want my uncle or my parents or somebody help me get a job. I want to do it on my own. Why? Use every advantage that you possibly have. You're crazy not to do that. Nobody's ever going to later down the road just say, well, hey, how did you get that first job? Did your uncle give you that job? Nobody cares. Were you successful in the company and did you learn some stuff? Were you reliable and dependable and did you contribute? Use every advantage and person that you know to help you get a job. And not only people you know, but people that you know that know other people. Ask for their second degree. Well, if you don't have any opportunity for me, do you know anybody on this kind of work that maybe you could introduce me to? People like to help other people, but you have to ask. All right. Most universities have some type of career center. Make sure you're taking advantage of that. All kinds of companies come, I've done it myself at a couple different companies, come to campus to try to recruit people, try to get ahead of that game, find out who's coming, research them when you go to these career fairs, know something, you're going to impress these people and stand out from the crowd. So utilize your university's business center, career center. LinkedIn, build up your network. I'll talk now about senior, like in, let's say 50s and 60s, you're looking for a job, 40s, and I go online, I see somebody that has 42 connections. I'm like, this guy's not online. What's up? They're not really tied into the modern world. There's in LinkedIn, there's like a cutoff. It'll just say 500 plus. Get the 500 plus. That means that you're really networked and you're somebody that, especially if it's like a sales job or something. Like, what do you mean? You're like a people person and you don't know anybody on LinkedIn? So build up your network on LinkedIn. There's all the job boards that we all know about, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and so on and so forth. Company websites, every one of them has a drop-down career section. And then take advantage of all the different supply chain organizations, mentorship opportunities from previous professors, people that you know, and just all these different university events. And get involved with your university supply chain or operations management club and be a part of that. I can tell you that at Cal State Fullerton, the people that have these like leadership positions on that, they are all highly recruited and they get great jobs. Every one of them, without exception. Multiple offers usually, and they'll get internships along the way. So you're crazy not to take advantage of it. And it's not some huge time suck. It's not that bad. So that's what you should be doing while you're at school. So I think that I've hit most of these things for new grads. Yeah. Yeah, I've hit on all these different types of things already. Get any type of experience in your field, any type of valuable experience. As a professor, I've had, and it's almost always the sharper students say, hey, could you be a reference for me? Or can you help me to get a job? You'd be surprised how many professors are tied into industry and they can help you get a job, right? So you just got to ask. You can't just like be kind of casually looking once in a while and hope that you're going to get a job. You've got to, again, looking for a job is a job, and you got to take it seriously and exploit every possible opportunity to network and ask for help and seek. Volunteer experience, if you can't get good work experience, you could certainly volunteer and try to get into a leadership position. That's certainly worthy of getting on your resume, and references from the people in those organizations can be good. So senior professionals, I've got a warm spot in my heart for that because I am one of those people. And I love to place seniors, but some handicap themselves. And it can be like they've got an old email address from AOL.com or, you know,
Or
something like
Hotmail,
that.
I guess.
Oh, you have one, Lisa?
No,
Oh,
I mean
good.
Hotmail, I said. Yeah,
Or
like I
Hotmail or
saw
Alta
some people
Vista. You know,
recently,
these things
right?
are still around, and
What are you
it just
doing?
means I am old. You know, you don't need to highlight that. Let me tell you what, it is against the law to discriminate against people above the age of 40. Let me tell you something else. People do it all the time, and they're not supposed to. But as a recruiter, a middleman, I get told sometimes, you know what, I'm looking for somebody that's about 42 years old. They'll say that. It's illegal. I hear it all the time. That's what they're looking for. So, but what are they looking for? I submit everybody, regardless of age. But I don't care if you're 35 or you're 65. People want energy. They want intellect. They want people that are able to use the current tools. So what I find with seniors, aside from the, you know, AOL.com type thing, some of them aren't on top of technology. Some. So make sure that you stand out as somebody that enjoys technology. You know what's going on and you use all these tools. Time has not passed you by. You do not want to convey the message that, yeah, I'm just looking for one more job, just kind of write it out till I can get Medicare or get on Social Security or retire or some kind of a thing like that. Make sure that you can use the technology. I can tell you there's some truth to that. Some of the older people just aren't as on top of the technology as the younger people. You can't be one of those people, because in the old days, you used to be able to work off of your spiral notebook and manila folders and do all that kind of stuff. Now you've got to use a CRM, customer relation management tool, and update salesforce.com and do all that stuff. And you don't want to have them think that you're going to be the person that they're going to have to lord over and beat over the head all the time to stay current with staying on top of the system. So make sure they believe that you're a techie, okay? Get a strong recruiter network. There's typically, like me, I'm a recruiter that is specializing in supply chain and logistics. find people like that if that's what you're looking for. All right, there's a handful of them out there throughout the United States. Stay involved with all these industry groups, like Lisa's group, CSCMP. There's other ones. There's very specific ones for like, TMS people and things like that. Be involved with that live and also virtually through LinkedIn. You need to develop your network and utilize your network. If you've been in business for 20, 30 years, you have worked with so many people and you know so many people. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I'm sure you have, where old Tina that used to work next to 10 years ago, you haven't talked to her for 10 years, but you run into her and it's just like old times again. As soon as you kind of reconnect and you start talking to her, those people will help you. Make sure you're connected on LinkedIn, that you're seeing their postings. Tina's company may be listing a job that you would like to have. So stay in touch with everybody, and LinkedIn is a great way to do that. Managing and developing your network, and this is something that Lisa is expert at. You can get a lot of tips from her on how to do that. You've got to manage and develop your network. They can be customers for you in the future. They can give you a job in the future. And by the way, be ready to help them at some point too. It's a mutual thing. We all help each other. It's really cool. But you got to be part of a network and you got to really participate and develop it. If you're a senior, no need to really have any of your jobs before 2000 on there. It's kind of an arbitrary cutoff point, but that's about right. Unless you did something freaking amazing, you want to put it on there, right? And all the other things apply. No, I do see some of the older people with like, MAGA stuff or the opposite of MAGA or whatever. Don't put that stuff on your, God forbid, LinkedIn. There is no personal stuff on LinkedIn. Don't put personal stuff on LinkedIn. But even on your Facebook or any of that stuff, leave that somewhere else, okay? I already talked about recruiters. Develop good relationships with recruiters. I hear from candidates on a regular basis, just checking in. I take these calls. Most people will take calls like that. We're in business to help people. That's how we make our money, okay? If you are in an interview process and there's a recruiter or there's just a straight hiring manager, make sure you're sending, and I've had people disqualified for this, every single interview you have with every single person that's on the call or in a live environment, you have to send a thank you note to them. And if they say, "Oh, you look great, we look forward to talking to you soon," and then what happens? You don't hear from them. You take the initiative and follow up. Nobody's going to say anything bad about you doing that. Okay? So what should you do now? Leverage your network. Sit down, take a yellow pad and write down, who do I know and who could possibly help me, and connect with them on LinkedIn. It's best to, when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, write a little note. "Hey, Frank, I used to work with you at ABC company. I thought it'd be fun to connect. Hope you're doing great." That's all you got to do. Don't be shy about this. Connect. Build a huge connection. I had a guy working here with me that had 27,000 connections. I've got 6,000. Lisa, I'm sure you have thousands. So you've got to use that LinkedIn. All right.
Yep.
Go to all the industry functions. Make sure all the things I told you to do, make sure that you do that. And by the way, when you're just at a casual social gathering, not social so much, but like a business social gathering, you go to the DMA and the Inland Empire, something like that, and someone sat at your table, connect with them. Build your network through all of those kind of casual industry interactions that you have. That should be part of your network. Make sure that resume is dialed in. I talked to you about what you had to do on LinkedIn. And here's the key thing. And Tony, this goes back to your college grads. Just emphasize to them, this is not easy. Be persistent, follow up, keep applying, and just never give up. I mean, that's it. Take it seriously as if it was a job and work it. Build your network, ask for help. People like to help others, and that'll go a long way. So with that, I'm a minute over, but any questions?
No, I think, well, there was one that I answered, but he said, is there any specific industry groups on LinkedIn you recommend? And I pretty much said ASCM, I know is a good group, but I would search for supply chain and look for large numbers of people. But is that, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, a lot of times LinkedIn, if you're a little active on there, will suggest groups for you to join. And if they look interesting to you, I'm not saying join groups you should join groups you're interested in, but that's a simple query. What groups are involved with whatever you like? Data management and logistics, inventory management, production, manufacturing, whatever. And for a lot of these, there'll be 10 different groups you can join, and you can see how many people are in those groups. So
Yep.
you'll get, and don't be afraid to post on LinkedIn if you have something of value to share. Don't just post something just to post. But for me, I don't ever really post stuff about recruiting. If I see something interesting in the industry that's going on that I'm glad that I know, and I think other people would want to know about it, I'll do it. Sometimes I'll post twice in a day, and sometimes I'll miss 2 weeks. But it's only as I run into stuff that I think is helpful to other people. So, yeah,
Yeah, totally agree with that. Totally agree.
good.
No, it's David, you've been fabulous here. We really appreciate it because we have a lot of students involved. We're looking at, helping the future of our profession. At the same time, we have, folks who are in the middle and later of their career. So it's great that you're able to cover all those aspects, and certainly there's a lot of opportunity in the supply chain and logistics. So I
Huge.
agree completely with Dave. It's not a simple, it's not going to be, nothing is going to be easy anymore, period. Like, it has nothing to
Right.
do with this particular topic. It's just the way it is. And so, get on top of changing conditions here with AI technology, and you'll be, quite successful. And you do have to put in the work, but thank you.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So my 3 things: getting a job is a job, be a lifelong learner, and well, that's 2 things. If you do that, you'll be good.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, some of our board members, I would consider to be the best lifelong learners, and you know what? They're very successful because they do that, and they're always interested in learning more. So,
Yeah.
I completely agree with both of those. So, thank
Great.
you very much, David, and join us next month. We have another webinar in our series. And we're continuing to add them all the time with the latest and trending topics that will impact your supply chain. And we're also looking at doing some tours in the future. So if you are willing to host a tour, let us know. And you can find us at apics-ie.org. And well, thank you. We'll see you next time. And thank you very much to David.
Thanks, everybody. It was a pleasure. Thanks, Lisa.
All right. Thank you.